I'm Adam, and there is no Dan today. There's no Dan because he did not see the movies I'm about to talk about. And if you're in the subject line, you'll know what movies I'm about to review. Um, on Saturday, me and my fiance Kendra, we went to Monticello, Indiana, because we go every year to go to an amusement park out there called Indiana Beach. Um, it's an amusement park that I have been going to literally since I was 5 years old, every single year. Kendra has been going with me for the last 8 or 9 years, I want to say. So it's become a tradition for us every summer to go to Indiana Beach. And every year we go, we always go to Indiana Beach. Then we usually at night we'll go out to dinner, and then usually we always cap the night off by going to the drive-in movie theater that's out there called Lakeshore Drive-In Theater. Um, so when we got there, uh, they have two screens. The first screen was playing a double feature of The Mummy and Wonder Woman, which were two movies I already saw. Did not feel like paying money to see them again. And the other one was showing Cars 3 and Captain Underpants. You know, this was the first year where I was like, the tradition of going to see a movie after we go to the park and go out to dinner maybe doesn't have to be followed through with. This was the first year where I actually was thinking about not seeing something at the drive-in. I still did though because it's a tradition. I gotta see whatever's playing there, and I've seen some dumb movies there before. I've seen You Mean Dupree there. I saw Marmaduke. So yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time I saw a double feature of two movies I really had no interest in seeing. Which, by the way, if you live near Monticello, Indiana, like I'm a 2 hour car ride away from there. If you live around the Chicagoland area, you owe it to yourself to at least go to Indiana Beach and try and just see if you like it at least once because it's a fun amusement park. It's one of the oldest ones in America, and it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with it. Everyone I've known, who's never been there before, I always try to get them to at least go once. And if you never experienced a drive-in movie theater before, you're really missing out. You really need to go at least one time. So, with that out of the way, I guess I'll just move on to the review. So, the first movie we ended up seeing was Cars 3. The only thing I could say is that when I first saw the trailers for it, I thought it actually looked interesting. I thought, okay, like, this seems like they might be going in a direction that I like. Mater was not the main character this time around. It went back to Lightning McQueen, and it seemed like it was going to be basically like everyone remembers that teaser trailer with Lightning McQueen tumbling out of control and like getting damaged, like it looked darker and stuff. That was just the teaser because then the actual trailer came out. Everyone saw, oh, okay, we're just going back to just Cars antics. But again, it didn't look like anything that I thought would look like shit. It just looked like something I just wouldn't really be interested in seeing, and I really wasn't. I had no interest in actually spending money to go see the movie. But since it was playing at the drive-in and the other screen was playing two movies I already saw, I figured, well, if I'm going to spend $10, I'm going to spend $10 on two movies I didn't see rather than two movies I did see. So Cars 3. Basically, the story of Cars 3 is essentially Lightning McQueen is essentially, he's past his prime. He's not the fastest and best racer out there anymore. Now there's new racers out there, and there's one racer that he's constantly getting in with, and I forgot what the racer's name is, to be honest. I forget because he's not that big of a character actually. He only shows up for a few scenes. And essentially, Lightning McQueen loses races during the one season, which is like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie. He ends up getting into a major wreck, and then it cuts to like 4 months later, and then it's like, okay, now he's recovered, and now he wants to get back into racing, and he ends up getting the people who I guess sponsored him sold their company or whatever to somebody else, and the guy's a big Lightning McQueen fan, but he has no interest in actually using Lightning McQueen as a racer. He's more interested in just using Lightning McQueen as a spokesperson. And he doesn't want to do that, obviously. Lightning McQueen wants to prove that he's still a great racer, so he ends up training to race once again. He makes a deal with him saying, okay, like, you let me race, and if I win, I get to continue to be a racer. If I lose, I'll just be your spokesperson. And they end up giving him a trainer with a character. It was a new character called Cruz, I believe her name was. And she was actually a character I actually liked. I mean, she was interesting. She was funny. Um, and basically, the main chunk of the movie is her trying to train Lightning McQueen. Um, and the first half of this movie is essentially just the same shit that we've seen already. The comedy isn't there. It's kind of boring. It's almost like the same movie, actually, the first half of it. It's actually more like the same movie as the first one. And it's just not very interesting. It's not very funny. It's the second half of the movie that's actually pretty good. And the best way I can describe it is like the first half of the movie is like on autopilot. Like they're just giving people what they expect or what they essentially believe what people want. And then the second half of the movie actually feels like it actually has a heart and a soul. The second half of the movie I actually found quite interesting. Because the thing is like once you get to that second half, you can see where the film's going. You understand, oh, okay, I see where we're going. I see what the message is going to end up being. And it's just that journey to get to that message is just not that good. Um, like I said, I think if the first half of this movie was more like the second half of the movie, it actually might have been a really good movie. I actually might have gotten a recommendation out of me. Um, but unfortunately, that first half of this movie really bogs down the rest of the movie. Like basically, the first half of this movie is just so bland and so uninteresting, and just I don't give two shits to the point when it got to the second half. Even though I think the second half is a lot better, it gets a lot more interesting, a little more exciting. I just couldn't care less anymore. I just wanted it to get over with. That's all I wanted. Um, so overall thoughts, it's not a bad movie. It's definitely it's it's no Zootopia. It's basically the best way I could describe it. It's no Zootopia. It definitely ain't no Cars 2, and it definitely ain't no Monsters University. It's not a bad film. If you got kids, obviously they're going to enjoy it. There are some stuff in there that it is good. There were moments, there were jokes in there that did make me laugh. And the best positive I could give to this movie is that Mater is relegated to pretty much the background. He's basically non-existent in this movie. He's only shows up a couple of times and says a few lines, and most of them aren't really jokes either. So that's probably the best positive thing I could say about the movie. Other than that, the movie's just not that great. Again, the first half of the movie is just fucking standard bullshit. The second half actually picks up and actually gets really interesting, but unfortunately, that first half kind of ruins the whole experience for me. I'm gonna give Cars 3 a 5 out of 10, and that was pretty much on par what I would give the first one. So to me, Cars 3 is on par with Cars 1. It's definitely not as bad as Cars 2, because Cars 2 is a fucking travesty of animation, but it's not terrible. I wouldn't say go out and waste money on it. If you're a fan of cars and you're, above the age of 10, I think you'll like this. If you are an adult who has children, your children will definitely enjoy this, and you can occupy them for about an hour and a half. And then we get to the second movie, Captain Underpants. I remember seeing the trailer for this earlier in the year. I remember when I saw the trailer, I thought to myself, that looks stupid. But it just looked like standard kid movie bullshit, basically. It just looked like a standard kids film. I had no interest in it. But the one thing I will say is that going into this movie, I was reminded of last year when I saw the trailers for Sing and I saw the trailers for Storks, which were two films that I also kind of had a similar reaction to when I saw the trailers. I thought to myself, okay, like this looks like it's a kids movie. It doesn't look like it's going to really be any good. It just looks like it's going to be kind of stupid and more aimed towards children. There's really not going to be much in there for adults to actually enjoy. And with Storks and Sing, I was actually pleasantly surprised to be wrong about that. I ended up actually really liking those movies. Those movies have a heart. They're feel good films. They essentially to me feel like they have a soul. They're actually good movies in my opinion. I would recommend both of them. When I wrote reviews for them, I recommended them and said how I thought. I was actually very surprised at how good these films were, and they both had really good messages and likable characters and really funny moments and stuff like that. They weren't great movies by any stretch of the imagination. It was no, it wasn't no Zootopia, but they were pretty good. Captain Underpants, on the other hand, is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I went into Captain Underpants hoping, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe this will surprise me. In the end, no, it's exactly what the title of the movie basically promises. It's Captain Underpants. It's as dumb and as mundane as you think it would be just from that title. If you never saw the trailers and you hear Captain Underpants, you basically know what this movie's going to be like. It's basically about two friends, and I fucking forgot their names already. Two young friends who basically spend their time being troublemakers, and then they also draw and create their own comic book and their superhero called Captain Underpants. Well, they get in trouble with the principal. They end up getting caught doing basically sabotaging a science experiment showcase or some shit like that, and they end up getting in trouble for it for playing their prank. And one of the kids, out of desperation, grabs hypnotizing ring, I guess, that he got from like a fucking Cracker Jack box or cereal box or something, and ends up using it on the principal to hypnotize him. And even he's surprised it worked. And then once he's hypnotized, they start screwing around with him, and they realize that they can do whatever they want, so they tell him he's Captain Underpants. And basically, the whole movie is basically just them dealing with this principal and making him Captain Underpants. And they end up like establishing that like if they snap their fingers, he becomes Captain Underpants. They throw water on him, he goes back to being the principal. And like the first half of this movie is just them fucking around with that. It's just them constantly going, oh, okay, he's Captain Underpants. Oh shit, like some shit's getting real. Throw water on him. Oh, he's the principal. Oh, he's Captain Underpants again. That's what the fucking first half of this movie is. Not very funny, very stupid at times. And then the second half of the movie is like where like the movie actually starts getting into like a plot of sorts. They end up getting a new science teacher whose name is Professor P, and he's actually a villain. He's a super villain who basically wants to become a teacher, and he wants to rid the world of laughter. That's his goal, is to make sure children won't laugh or find anything funny. And the boys, the two main boys, end up finding out that the P in Professor P actually stands for poopy pants. I'm not making that up. I wish I was. It's Professor Poopy Pants. And then it explains that's why he hates laughter, that's why he hates children laughing at him, because he was always made fun of for having the name Poopy Pants. It's as dumb as you think. Again, this film has no surprises whatsoever. It's as dumb as you would imagine a movie like this being. And then the second half gets into basically Professor Poopy Pants then wants to, do his diabolical scheme to rid the world of laughter or whatever. And it's up to the kids originally to stop him. They actually don't actually want to recruit or rely on Captain Underpants. They just decide, okay, well, we're just going to stop him ourselves, because the fact that Captain Underpants doesn't actually really have superpowers, it's just their principal who thinks he's Captain Underpants. And I don't know, somewhere in between there, he ends up actually getting superpowers. I forgot how, because at this point, my way before this, my brain mentally checked out and walked out of the car and walked home, and my body was just sitting there watching this. There was actually one point in the movie where I thought it was actually coming to a climax. I thought it was about to end, so I ended up telling my fiance to go to the bathroom and do whatever she has to do before we go. So she went to the bathroom, then I got out of the car and I went to the bathroom, and then I came back and I realized it was still going on, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought this was ending. And I look at my watch and I realize, oh, the movie's only been on for like an hour. It still has like 25 more minutes. And that was just a soul-crushing, sinking feeling, knowing that there was actually more to this movie. And here's the thing. So, the movie's not very funny. I mean, I'd be lying, though, if I said that I didn't chuckle at a few of the jokes. I did. Some of them got me. Some of them were kind of funny. it's basically the movie's just filled with toilet humor. It's just poop and fart jokes. That's all this movie is filled with. It's as juvenile as you could imagine it to be. Although there were a few jokes that were actually kind of clever and were actually kind of funny. Um, Beyond that, I don't really know what else to really say about this movie. So I'm just gonna go into my overall thoughts and my score. Basically, the thing is, I didn't walk out hating this movie though. I didn't hate the movie by any stretch of the imagination. Last week when we did 47 Meters Down, Dan ended up saying that he just didn't care about the movie, and that's the best way I could describe my experience with this film. I just didn't care. There was nothing in this movie that interested me. There was nothing that held my attention really. It was just a standard kids movie. It was exactly what I thought it would be. It was dumb. It was filled with childish juvenile humor, and it's Captain Underpants. I don't really know what else to say. It's not a good movie. It's not necessarily really a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm probably gonna get flack for saying that I'm being too generous here, even though I was just complaining about the fucking movie just a second ago. But I'm also looking at the movie from the perspective of what it is. It's a kids movie. This movie knows what audience it's trying to go for, and for that, it's fine. It's perfectly serviceable for what it is. It's a movie to sit your kid that's probably between the ages of 2 and 10 to sit down and occupy them for an hour and a half, and they will be occupied. They will have fun with it. They will laugh. They will probably enjoy it. You, on the other hand, will get about an hour and a half of silence or at least peace from them. That's essentially what this movie is, and for that, it's not a terrible movie in that regard. It does exactly what it needs to do. So, I don't know. Overall, I'll give Captain Underpants a 4 out of 10. Again, I'll say it's slightly below average for a kids film. I didn't really have a lot of fun with it. Again, I'd be lying if I said I didn't laugh a few times. I did laugh a few times. There were some moments that were funny, but overall, it's extremely forgettable and it's dumb, and I'm never probably going to see it again. Again, it's exactly what I thought it would end up being. So, that's going to do it for now. Um, Again, Dan isn't with me because he didn't go see these movies with me. I will be back next week for sure with Despicable Me 3, which I know I'm going to go see that. I don't know if Dan will be with me next week for that. I don't really know if he really wants to see it. But we'll see. If he doesn't see that with me, I will do another review solo by myself. And he will definitely be back with me for Spider-Man Homecoming. Because that we are definitely going to see together. And hopefully before Spider-Man Homecoming though, I want to do a video that is essentially a best and worst of the year so far. Because we're nearing the end of June, it's halfway through the year. I want to do a video where me and Dan will discuss what we think are probably some of the best and some of the worst movies so far this year. We'll probably talk about movies that we haven't talked about, we didn't review, and that might be interesting and fun. I have a feeling if Dan was with me, I could probably say that he might probably feel the same about Cars 3. I could see him having the exact same opinion as I had with that. Captain Underpants, on the other hand, I'm sure he probably would not have been as generous as I was. So, to recap, I give Cars 3 a 5. I give Captain Underpants a 4. If you got little kids and, 10 or younger, these are perfectly suitable films for them. They will probably enjoy them. If you're gonna take them to see one or the other, I'd say obviously take them to go see Cars 3, because at Cars 3 at least maybe you'd be interested in it a little bit. Captain Underpants, I'd say no. Don't take them to see that. Although again, it'll be fine for them. So that's gonna do it for now. Again, I'll be back next week with Despicable Me 3. If you like the video, please thumbs up it. Please subscribe to our channel. And feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of Cars 3 and Captain Underpants. Maybe you thought I was too harsh on Cars 3. Maybe you thought I wasn't harsh enough on Captain Underpants. Maybe you think I should have been a little more generous to both of them. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Alright, that's going to do it for now. So, see you later. Thanks for watching.